Today, we are joined by Jerry Bland, production designer who's worked on a range of acclaimed shorts, including BAFTA-nominated The Carmen Line, as well as art department work on a number of film and hit TV shows. So welcome, Jerry.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. So should we start with your early career beginnings, and how did you work your way into film and what did you study?
Quite random, really. I worked in book publishing to start with. I studied writing in Australia many years ago, and I didn't even get into film and TV till I was around 30, so it's exciting for late bloomers out there. And I was working in book publishing, and those industries kept going bust on me, like my jobs did, and I was a temp. So I worked at a TV company on a TV show, The Apprentice, for 2 years, and I made friends with everybody in the company that I worked there, and then started telling everybody that I was interested in art department and costume at the time. I just decided that I wanted to work visually, and people around the company, because I'd got to know everybody there, they'd throw little bits my way, like if they had like a taster tape, you know, like something that wasn't broadcast, and they'd get me to do their art department for them. So I got a little bit of experience that way, and eventually I sort of didn't want to go any further in the production route, and I left to go freelance. Anybody I knew who worked in art department, I contacted them. I went on all the websites. There's websites like Mandy and things like that. I got a copy of the K's directory. Do you guys all know about that? It's almost every kind of person in art department in the UK is listed in there. Their phone numbers are in there. Wow. I called people. Everybody was so helpful because everybody's been there before. Yeah. Everybody's kind of worked their way up.
Amy Curtis wanted to know, is there anyone who particularly inspires you, production designers, art directors or filmmakers, that kind of inspire your work specifically?
I love Wes Anderson. Because I like colour a lot, and I like contrast as well. I love Kubrick's films. I like David Lynch's films, and so for all of these, it's not just for the way they look, it's the way they feel. So it's a combination of everybody who works on them.
So how would you describe your personal style as a production designer? And do you think it's important for a production designer to have a distinctive style when they're starting out?
It doesn't have to be distinctive, I don't think. I would describe my style as vibrant. Like I said, I like colour, I like contrast. I think, though, it's really important to work to a brief. You know, it's very rare that you actually get to do exactly what you want in a commercial or a professional job, which is why we all love music videos and short films, because you get a chance to be a lot more creative. Often things don't always have to make sense. Sometimes continuity doesn't even matter. And so, yeah, so I don't think it's important to have your own distinctive style, and certainly not at the beginning anyway, because this takes time to develop as well, because you might think you're one thing, and then the more work you do, and the more people you're around, you might find that you like something else.
Yeah. Isabel Leong from the Facebook group wants to know, how important are art qualifications, or would you say a portfolio is more important?
I always ask people that I work with what their background is, and there are a lot of people who've come from fine art, and there's some people who've got a production design degree, but like I did writing, you know. Yeah. I think it's one of the last industries where it's actually about your experience and your attitude and your willingness to learn. That said, sometimes where I feel like a bit out of my depth sometimes is knowledge of materials. Right. But at the same time, I also employ people who kind of make up for my lack of knowledge in those areas. It's you know, I think my real world experience, like before even working in film, just all those years of working in an office, like being a temp or whatever, I think that has helped me so much, because you need to be really, really organised. You know, managing people, knowing where to find things, that's really important stuff. And so I don't think you need an art degree.
Yeah. Let's focus specifically on your short films that you've worked on. Do you want to just talk us through the process from kind of when you like agree with the director that you're going to do it, from getting the script, like how does that whole process work? What's like the research that goes into it? You know, how do you research? What do you do? Mood boards, or you know, how does that happen? And then once you get on set, what happens there?
First thing I will do is break down the script in terms. I do it in a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets. In terms of like the props and dressing and things, because I think it's really important to be realistic and upfront right from the start to see if it's achievable to do what they want on the budget that they've got. So if you go through and list every single prop that's listed in there, any graphics that will need to be made, then you'll often go on recce's with the cinematographer and the director. Usually on a short film there's not going to be very much money. So you're trying to find a location that serves the script as closely as possible, so that when you're designing, you're enhancing the location rather than working against it, which will suck up all of your money. So then you sort of photograph everything and sort of, make up mood boards to show the director what you're planning to do. It's also great if the director sends you references of what they want as well, so that you can see that you're all on the same page. It's really good to be in touch with the other heads of department, the DP, the director of photography, the costume designer as well, just so you can see that you're all on the same page and your colours and moods are all working together. Once you kind of get approval that you're all on the same page, start like buying things. Any kind of online purchases, get them as soon as possible so that you don't have to pay next day delivery charges, because that sucks up a lot of your money. Then be organised. This is the best thing you can do, is to be organised, and that's going to save you money as well, and stress. You know, you want to enjoy this as much as you can.
Omar Scaly asks, do you consider the technical aspect in terms of how the camera and the types of lenses used in a project pick up the detail of costumes and props, as well as practical lights?
I mean, knowing what not to bother with, because you're never even going to see it, because, you know, something's sort of so out of focus in the background, that can actually save you a lot of time, as a lot of wasted time, you know. I remember, like, definitely early on, just I'd be spending a lot of time working on something and people would come up to me and say, you're never going to see that. Yeah. And sort of, that's actually really good to know where to spend the time and where not to spend the time.
So moving on to actually, you know, getting into the industry and becoming, production designer or working in the art department, Ashley White asks, what stands out to you on a CV?
It's not so much a CV, to be honest. I like it when somebody's rung me first. You know, you'll say, they'll introduce themselves and then ask if they can send an email through, which is good because, you know, you might not remember their name from a phone call, but once you've got something in your inbox, that's great. And then if they've sent me a little letter saying, hi, Jerry, you know, we just discussed this. I do occasionally get CVs with no letter, nothing, no intro, and I don't even look at them. I think that's rude. You know, it's just you have to. I mean, it goes back to when you're applying for your first job, when you're like 16, and you wouldn't just send a CV off, would you? You would sort of introduce yourself. There's a girl who works with me sometimes, a buyer now, Isabella, and she emailed me, and a couple of days later, I've gone on a recce for a job, realised at the last minute this needs more people, and I've called all my people that I usually call because it's so last minute that I just want to go with a safe bet, someone that I already know. Everybody's busy, and she had emailed me again the day before, and so she was fresh in my mind. Yeah. So a lot of it is timing. Yeah. But I just think you just keep trying because, you know, people always need assistance. You'll get there eventually.
What would be your advice to get into kind of the art department? So would you advise to start as a runner or just go in straight, like saying, you know, I want to be a designer? And
if you want to design, maybe to be doing short films with people of a similar level of experience as you, but also be trying to work on like professional things as well, because you're just going to learn so much on those projects from people who've been doing it for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And you learn where to find things, you learn how it's done, you learn what your job is. Like as a designer, you learn what, you know, designers in big things do.
If a director was looking for you or another person in the art department, how would they find you? So are there any kind of websites specifically for production designers, or any specific, you know, groups in which they can tap into?
There are. I think mostly it works from word of mouth. A producer will often recommend to a director sort of a producer might shortlist a few production designers and show it to the director, and the director might have a look through their websites and things and see which people he thinks, you know, suits his style the most. I know on Facebook there are a couple of groups, like there's one like people who work in film and people who know people who work in TV. So, I mean, you'll see sometimes people looking for production designers on those. I mean, there's quite a lot of people. I think some of them have like 5,000-10,000 people on them. Yeah, so.
Cool. So that's all we have time for today. That went really quickly.
Yeah.
But thank you, Jerry, for joining us and sharing all your advice and knowledge and expertise. And also thank you to you guys who came in today and all of you who tuned in.